So very basically, because the slide doesn't explain actually what the community fridge is, just some of the headlines, it is a group of student volunteers who collect from all the various outlets, cafes, shops that we have here on campus, any of their waste food at the end of the day. That includes independent local places, but it also includes some large chains like Greggs, and some of our sort of more university-run catering services. And they bring them to two fridges on campus. The one in the picture is the first one, which is a bit more established. We had a bit of funding to start it with. The second one is a little bit more in its pilot phase and is just a simple white under the counter fridge. I'm saying that because it doesn't have to be your expensive glass fronted fridge. It could just be a simpler under the counter one. As I've said, it's completely student-led. This idea came from students presenting it at a competition we hold every year for students to present ideas to make the university more sustainable. And every year, the best idea gets the opportunity to actually make it happen. That was 2 years ago, and since then we've had success with students taking on the leadership roles, making the decisions, deciding what's important to them. It is very much led by food waste. Sometimes we get groups that have a secondary aim of food poverty, but that's always secondary. So we don't really mind if one person comes and takes 20 pastries at the end of the day. It's as long as they're going to get eaten, then that's fine. The hands-on engagement, I think, is probably the thing I'd like to emphasize last, being that this is the principle by which we work here at Lancaster. We're not trying to sort of necessarily tell people what to do or just rely on information. What we try to do is create hands-on experiences where people can make up their own mind and come to their own conclusions in a more memorable way. I'd say that's the biggest impact, really, aside from the food waste tonnage, is that lasting experience that the volunteers and participants will have.
We ran a competition here called Conservation Coasters, and that ran from March 2018 to June 2018 and was open to all students. It was organised in partnership with Dr. Danielle Green, who is a lecturer in ARU's biology department, and whose research focuses specifically on the impacts that humans are having on the marine environment. So we're very much riding on the wave of anti-plastic support following Blue Planet 2. So the aim of the competition was to raise awareness of plastic pollution among staff and students at the university, as well as members of the local community. So students were asked to design a coaster using any media, so that could be photos, paintings, drawing, graphics, whatever they wanted, that depicted the impact that we're having on the planet. And this was to be accompanied by a short and catchy message that reflected this impact, as well as some suggestions on what we could actually do to take action. So the competition was advertised widely across the university, using info screens, mobile apps, posters, Twitter, emails to students. And it was also included as part of a module that Danny teaches on the Applied Wildlife Conservation MSc, though it wasn't actually made a mandatory part of the course. So in total, we received 18 entries of very high quality, and these were judged by individuals from the Global Sustainability Institute. And they selected the top 6 winning entries, which would then later on be turned into coasters. So we held a celebratory event where we invited along all the students who participated, and in the slide here on the left-hand side, you can see all the students who came along. What you can't actually see is that we also provided a lot of vegan cake and wine, which definitely helped to make the event a success. And so also at the event, we handed out prizes for the top 3 winning entries, and on the right-hand side of the photo, you can see one of the students who received his prize, which was a gift voucher for a sustainable clothing company. So in total, we printed 600 copies of the winning entries, which we then distributed to local pubs. And you can see some examples of these in the bottom hand photo on the right-hand side of the slide. And these are being used to sort of engage with the community and let people know what students are doing here and how they can take action as well. And we're also using the coasters to push just sort of wider initiatives across the university as we're moving away from sort of single-use plastic to more sustainable resources.
This project was really about looking at that virtuous circle, and we were really thinking about how we can connect lots of different, very diverse communities together For us, it was about providing a platform for redefining the role of the fashion industry and challenging the traditional stereotypes that everyone has about the fashion industry. So really it's about creating this sort of very thought-provoking dialogue between a range of different people. We worked with women in prison, we worked with a community, a rehabilitation community in Italy. Our staff and students are involved, and also we worked with our alumni. So one of our alumni connected all of those communities together. She travelled across Europe and sort of worked with the students, the community in Italy. The fabric that you see at the top is made by old packing tape and found materials, used materials, creating an innovative new fabric through all of these old materials. Students designed with those materials. They kind of really took on board the messages about society and sort of really explored the issues, the challenges that we find within the industry today. So what we also wanted to highlight was the invisible community within fashion industry, which is the maker. So the skills that the women are learning in the prison, the skills of the weavers in the community in Italy. And we really wanted to sort of bring everyone together through that fellowship of craft. That was sort of the whole point of the project, how craft brings community in their place within it. So we're looking at real issues within the industry, which is consumption, production, process, waste, all of these things. And this project really highlights all of that. And it allows the students to really situate themselves and their practice within the industry and how they can change that. For us, it's about recognizing the change that the students can make, and this project gave them the voice, the makers the voice. Additionally, two of these enterprises, they are social enterprises. So the project in the women's prison is an actual social enterprise. We work and connect our students with those enterprises all the time outside of this project. And we are also working with the community in Italy as an ongoing project, and we sort of do ongoing curriculum-based projects. So really for us, it's about challenging and connecting fashion education to real world issues and really finding the creative responses to that and enabling our students to challenge the industry from within.
The University of the West of England is based in the city of Bristol, and Bristol is currently undergoing what we think is quite an innovative experiment in local governance, where our mayor is leading on an approach that is calling the One City Plan, which kind of recognises that the city council on its own can't achieve the kind of systemic change needed in the city to address the major challenges facing the city. And we need to bring together the collective power of major organisations, employers, voluntary sector organisations across the city to help address this. This plan, it's developing. It now has 7 themes, things like homes and communities, health and well-being, environment, where we're developing sort of medium and long-term action plans within those themes to address challenges in the city. So the opportunity this provides for us as a university, we're a university that's always been very engaged across the city and has an awful lot of community-based activities where our staff and students are engaging with communities. We've mapped over the last year, we've mapped over 50 activities where our staff and students are engaged in things connected with the One City Plan, and that probably is just scratching at the surface. But the opportunity that gives us, a lot of that work tends to be quite under the radar, quite invisible on its own. But if we can align this activity onto the themes of the plan, it gives us a much more powerful way of showing how cumulatively all this work is contributing to the good of the city, and also gives us a way that we can then prioritize and say, okay, these are the key priorities and key areas where the city thinks there are real needs across the city. How can we as a university through our activity contribute to those? So some other things we've done over the last year and that we'll continue to develop. Earlier this year, together with the University of Bristol as well, we held a roundtable event that brought together university academics, students, council officers and other players together to address some of the key questions facing the city, and look to how universities can connect with communities better to address some of those questions. And that will be followed up. We're now looking at an annual symposium that will bring together, that will be able to showcase some of the work we're doing and stimulate new collaboration and new partnerships connected with the One City Plan. And then possibly more tangibly, we've launched our UWE Bristol Community Fund, which is now an annual fund of about £25,000, through which we can fund community partnership projects that link into the key themes of the One City Plan. So, say last year we awarded about £25,000 to 11 projects, which all of which provide learning opportunities for UWE students with community partners to help ultimately create a healthier, more equal and inclusive and sustainable Bristol.